We discussed the other day how CNN cut a deal with Bill Maher, and they decided they're going to put Bill Maher's segment Overtime, which happens just after his show Real Time, which is on HBO. They decided they're going to place that on CNN now. Usually it's like a 10 or 20 at most minute conversation with his panelists. They throw around some extra topics. It's funny because you could really tell when you watch it, Bill Maher, he phones it in, ski dog. He doesn't care about the overtime stuff. He's just trying to get out of there, trying to smoke some weed or whatever. But CNN wanted it. They're playing around with some new ideas because their ratings are abysmal and they're failing colossally. And so, I don't think, from a ratings perspective, I don't think it was the worst idea because Bill Maher definitely gets better ratings than almost any host on CNN. And they wanted, like, Jon Stewart potentially, too, for something. I don't think Jon Stewart agreed to it. He's got a deal with Apple. So, Maher is now on CNN for his Overtime segment. By the way, classic Bill Maher. He cursed in the first segment that was going on CNN, and he did this whole, like, tee-hee-hee, sorry, CNN, I'm just so edgy. It's very, it's like how Bill Maher reminds everybody he smokes weed every 7 seconds. I love marijuana, okay? That's my Bill Maher impression. I think marijuana's good, okay? Please. And it was classic, like, I'm so edgy, bro. I'm so edgy. No big deal or anything, but I just cursed on CNN. Whatever. You guys like me yet? You guys like me? So, of course, Trump came across Bill Maher. Since he's on CNN now, he's more visible. HBO, not everybody has HBO. Almost everybody has CNN, right? And he took to Truth Social, and he gave us this banger at 7:38 on Saturday morning. So, ratings challenged fake news CNN, which just had their lowest and worst numbers in history. Why is history? Why is history in capital letters? Why is the H in capitals? Okay. Wants to give wacky little Bill Maher a shot at bringing them back to just normal bad when Bill Maher suffers from the same affliction as CNN. Bad ratings! How's that for television programming? Actually, there's one person that can save CNN. He's done it for 6 years. Trump! But he's not available. He's going to win the presidency for the 3rd time and save our country from going to hell. Oh, I love this. I love this. This is great. So first of all, credit where it's due. He's right on the I sort of saved your ass thing. It is true. During the Trump era, CNN and MSNBC went all... See, there used to be a distinction between CNN and MSNBC. CNN was the neutrality network, and MSNBC was the lean forward or Democratic apologist network. In the Trump era, they both became rah-rah Democratic Party and screw Donald Trump. And so during that era, they didn't even have to do anything other than say Trump bad and just like bash Trump 24/7 in dumb ways, by the way. They'd never use like policy and substance to do it. It was very rarely that. It was often, he's crass and he said something mean on Twitter to Bette Midler. And so their ratings were much better. I mean, Fox was still number one. They've always been number one, but CNN and MSNBC were doing much better in the Trump era than they were previously. And so it was sort of like a shot of adrenaline or like like they were taking shots of Monster Energy to they were tired and that woke them up. But the problem is it's a short-term solution, right? Like what they need to actually do if they're tired is go to sleep, wake up refreshed, and get at it again with a new strategy. But they just like prolonged the inevitable decline because they were doing this fake thing of like, let's just cover Trump 24/7 and get better ratings. And so he's actually right. But again, if Trump wins again, they're going to go back to doing the same old thing they were doing before. And again, it's going to be temporary. Just going to stave off the decline a little longer. And it's a real shame. So Trump is actually correct that all of their ratings were based on Trump bad. Now they're totally lost in the wilderness. And if he comes back, then that does breathe new life into them, at least for another 4 years, if he survives. And so the core of that is actually accurate. Now, the Maher criticism, though, of, hey, this guy has bad ratings. Look, that's not exactly true, okay? Like, I used to be a big Bill Maher guy. I know it's kind of embarrassing to admit at this point. But something about his confidence I liked, and when he was based in the anti-Iraq war and stuff like that, I thought he was really cool. But you got to call a spade, even though I'm not the biggest fan of him anymore. He does get much better numbers than anybody else on CNN. Like, Real Time definitely has better numbers than they do over on CNN. And he does have, kind of a strong following. I mean, he's changed a lot in recent years. He's slowly but surely shifted a little further right. He's still a Democratic Party voter, and he votes for Democratic politicians, but he's all in on like the anti-cancel culture, anti-wokeness stuff, where that seems to consume his mind the majority of the time, and he doesn't really talk about universal health care or ending the wars anymore, things of that nature. But he does get decent numbers. And I love that Trump is such an all-or-nothing guy. It's awesome, because like, he was attacking Charlie Kirk because Charlie Kirk interviewed DeSantis. Even though Charlie already endorsed Trump, Trump's like, not enough. Don't you even interview DeSantis. With Bill Maher, it doesn't matter how many, segments he's done where Trump would potentially agree with it, right? Like, Bill Maher's a bit of a, a little bit of a vax skeptic. I don't know if Trump would be on. Trump might actually be more pro-vaccine than Maher is, right? But there's a number of issues, including the wokeness and cancel culture stuff, and Democrats are not the party of common sense anymore. Like, these are things Trump would agree with, but Trump doesn't have it in him to be like, yeah, I kind of agree with him on this point. It's all or nothing. This all stems back to a feud they had way back in the day. Trump sued Bill Maher because Bill Maher made a joke where he was riffing on Trump being a birther about Obama, so show me your birth certificate and all that stuff. And Maher said, you need to show me your birth certificate to prove that your mom didn't marry an orangutan, because the color of your hair, that only exists in nature among orangutans. And so Trump saw that, sued him over the joke, and demanded money, because Maher said something like, I'll give me $1 million if you can prove your dad's not an orangutan or something like that. And ever since then, it's been just hatred 24/7. And Maher really does hate Trump as well. That's a part of him he'll never let go. He despises Trump. But it's just funny. This guy, it's like we hopped in a time machine and went right back to 2016 or 2018, and dude is just can't help himself, man. Trump was going off about Rihanna at the Super Bowl the other day. He was, I don't know what's stuck in his craw about Rihanna. Like, why does he not like Rihanna? What's the reason? Did she say something bad about him? I don't know, but he was like, worst Super Bowl performance ever. Worst halftime show I've ever seen. Not even close. Like, when he gets something in there, man, he just doesn't stop. But, yeah, Maher will probably get slightly better ratings on CNN. Certainly better than anybody else who would be in that time slot. But is it going to be enough to save CNN? Of course not. And Trump's right that if he gets to be president again, they will get higher numbers than otherwise. But, I mean, I'll say what I always say when it comes to this issue, which is, for the love of God, you can create a good news network. You would just need to totally revamp from the top down and bring in real talent. Check out some new media people, bring in people who are battle-tested and proven, and they can get eyeballs, and who are dedicated to putting the facts and the information first and then giving their opinion. You can do that. You can create a new network, and that network can be great, but they're actively going to choose not to do that. Why? Because any good talent would scare away the advertisers. And the thing they care about first and foremost is keeping that advertiser money flowing. God forbid you have controversy because somebody says something interesting for once on CNN. They would never allow that. If you want to see me and Crystal Ball interview legends like Noam Chomsky, Cornel West, and more, subscribe to Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. $5 a month gets you the video version a day early. Remember, we take 0 ad dollars for this podcast. Or you can sign up on Substack for free and get the audio version a day later. Link in the video description box below.